Yeah.
I love that. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Thursday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We have a great interviewee today, and we're super excited to get it kicked off. And of course, the lovely Kurt. How are you doing today, Kurt?
Oh my goodness, Sammy Joe, if I was any better, I'd have a twin. I heard that line the other day, so I thought I'd share that with our wonderful guests. So, hey, let's give a big warm round of applause for our guests today. How about Emily, Joe, and Wilkins? Emily, happy Thursday. How are you?
I am doing great. How are you, Kurt?
Just too good. It's when I'm on stage with you, my friend, it's just I know life is just way too good. So Emily hails from the great state of Michigan, and she is a marketing diva, a marketing guru. She's the founder, the brainchild, the CEO behind Marketing Metal, and she exclusively works with manufacturers on how to stop being boring. We're going to talk about getting radical and all sorts of fun things. Sammy Joe, we've got a ton to cover. Why don't we dig into our first question for today?
Perfect. All right. So the first question I want to start off with was, what does it mean to be a radical job shop?
So, radical job shops are the shops that they know who they are and they're not afraid to show it. They're very specific about who they will work with and what type of team members they welcome. They're profitable and impactful on their community.
Well, let's take that a little further. Now, Emily, you and I go back a little ways, not too far back, but we've done a couple live fun jam sessions together. And as I said, like you chose to go the route of manufacturing. And, guys, stop by manufacturingmetal.com. Tons of great information that you provide. Why manufacturing? What tugged your heart? What let your superpowers, your talents, your skills? What brought you into the world of manufacturing?
Yeah, it's Marketing Metal, but
I'm sorry, what did I say? Manufacturing metal?
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Marketing
All those M
metal.
words.
You know what? I'm not a young guy anymore. She puts up with me, Sammy Joe. So thank
All
you
these
for
M
correcting me.
words.
Marketing metal. Thank you.
Yeah. I've always been around manufacturing. I grew up in the Detroit area. My whole family's in the automotive world. Grew up spending a lot of time with my dad in his garage, and my grandpa was the VP of a machine shop in the Detroit area, and my husband's grandpa owned a shop, like a competing shop, half hour down the road. So yeah, it's in my blood. I spent most of my career as the internal marketing person, the one and only at a number of small job shops. My most recent position before I started Marketing Metal, I was the marketing director and customer service queen at a small prototype shop. We had a CNC machine shop, and we did a lot of urethane castings and different random things.
Perfect. Okay. And then I want to tie in one more thing so that it was in your blood, in your DNA. You love dealing with manufacturing. Why now you could work with OEMs. You really love singing to you talk a lot about those job shops.
Yeah.
Why in particular do those job shops really resonate with you?
Yeah, I just really recognized a need in that space. Is what I knew too. I mean, those are the types of companies that I worked at. I did do a stint at GE Aviation, and I worked in the toy industry for a little while for some bigger OEMs. But most of my career has been with these small shops, and I've just seen a huge disconnect there with marketing and agencies were really struggling to serve them, and they just didn't really know what they needed, or, and they would end up spending money on stuff that they don't need, or, we're just not spending money at all because they're afraid to waste money. So I just really saw an opportunity for someone to come in and really speak their language and have a clear process that they could relate to and understand, and something that would empower them to really take what we build and run with it.
Absolutely love it. All right, Sammy, Joe, let's dive into the next question that you have teed up for Emily.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. So, talking about Radical Job Shop, let's go into how can a radical brand and marketing plan attract and retain better customers and talent?
Yeah, I think job shops get they become commoditized. They can be seen as a commodity, and they end up getting in this just race to the bottom. They're in bidding wars with other shops, and they don't distinguish themselves from each other, when really they do have unique qualities and capabilities. And when you really get down into it, they're just really bad at communicating that. So I help them do that.
Well, let's take it another step further. So let's think about, like, when you think about the non-radical, or maybe they're radical, but they just don't even realize it, right?
Yeah,
Emily, I think
that's mostly the case.
your superpower is coming in and pulling that out, right? So I have a couple questions that I'm going to hit you with, but let's how do you walk us through that process, if you could, because like that really is your magic, is digging into that job shop and not even realize they're like, oh, I love what I don't love what you said, but it's so true. The race to the bottom. They think they're a commodity. We're just a vendor. We're just a job shop. Talk about how you transform them really mentally first, and then how you bring that brand to the website.
Yeah, I start with this thing called the setup. Every good project starts with a good setup. So we have an 1.5 to 2 hour call, just virtual like this. I have customers all over the country, and we just start with a virtual chat like this. I really get to know them, who they are, where they came from, why they started this job shop or acquired it, or however that happened, what the history is there, and what they're really passionate about. Really breaking down their personality and trying to pull that out, because you can go to any shop for the same things, but what's really going to stand out, I'll ask any job shop where their customers came from, and they will tell you a relationship. The majority of their work comes from relationships. So what I do is help them bring that personality out in a digital format, so that when a new customer or a new partner or a job candidate comes across their website or their brand, however, they actually get more of a feel for that from the beginning, and they get a better understanding of who the shop really is and what makes them special and different. And I love that you brought up the mindset piece, Kurt, because that's so important. I think a lot of these owners are they're just very humble, and which makes them great. Great leaders. They're great entrepreneurs. They're really good at what they do. A lot of them are very involved in their communities.
Yep.
And but you don't get that impression from the beginning, right? So and they just don't like to talk about themselves. They don't like to talk themselves up. So I kind of just bring them along, and you have to do that these days, right?
Right.
Well, and I think that's such a great point. And that's where, so for manufacturers, maybe they've been, I'm sorry to use the word like burnt, or maybe they haven't had a great relationship with marketers in the past, because, that marketer might be working with retail and service sector, where they need to be more of, like have the megaphone and, shine a bright light on them, because, in retail, like you have to be that guerrilla marketer.
Yeah.
And so that the manufacturer, like you said, they're quiet, they're introverted. They've been like just, nose to the grindstone for, years, maybe even decades. Maybe this is a third generation business, and they've gone decades, with, their whole legacy is like no marketing whatsoever. This is brand new. And so like when you come into the picture, what's nice is like you speak manufacturing, as marketing metal, like you speak their language, you pull that information out. Let's go here for a second. You work closely with MEPs, manufacturing extension partnerships. Today, we're with the Alaska MEP. You work in different states, and I've had front row seat of some of the work that you've done, and I know some of your clients, and like they rave about the work that you do. Talk a little bit about like, and I'm thinking about where I'm going, the one in Pennsylvania, right? Share a little bit of that story of like how you came in and just really brought that website to life for that manufacturer.
Yeah, so you're talking about Peter's Heat Treating.
I sure am.
They're yeah, one of my favorite customers, favorite projects I've ever worked on. A heat treating company like going. So I went after their setup. I write up a brief that gets into the nitty gritty of what I see as their best strategy moving forward. It's usually a 7-page document of, this is your North Star, this is your personality, this is your customer, this is how we're going to communicate with them, and then I recommend one of our packages. So Peters needed to go all out. They were a second generation business. The daughter and son-in-law were taking over, and they really wanted to bring a new level of professionalism to their company. They have been doing a ton of internal work to bring their processes up and train and do all of the things internally to really serve their customers better. But their website didn't really communicate that. It didn't give them a great, they just look like any old heat treater when when you go to their website. So during their setup, Diana had this sign up behind her that said "Give a damn," and I'm like, well, hot damn is this, I think of the schnapps, right? Hot damn. Well, give a hot damn, like that's their whole philosophy around how they do everything. It's how they are with their people. Like we care about the work, we care about each other, we care about ourselves, and really giving a damn was the philosophy that her parents built the company on, and that's the legacy that they really wanted to carry through. So we just brought it out and made it really exciting and fun and interesting. And being on site with them was so cool, seeing all the different furnaces that they use, and open the furnace door and this heat, like all this fire just comes out. I'm like, okay, we have to capture that. Like, that's so cool. So
Emily, if you don't mind, so Sammy Joe, I know we haven't done this before. If you don't mind, I'm gonna try to share my screen. I know you and I, this will be our first rodeo doing this together. Let me try to share my screen, because I'd love to pull up this website, and let me see if this works. Can you see my screen?
No.
Let's see.
Wait. Yep. There it is.
So there it goes. And there we go. All right. Can you guys see that now?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, Emily. So let's spend a minute taking a little tour. So you just gave a little background on the sign, but just talk about like how you brought this vision to life for the folks at Peters.
Yeah. Really focusing on the relationships. Like this woman in this picture is one of their customers. She took the time to come to the shop while we were there and give us an interview and do the pictures and things. Those human moments and human connection, that's really important. Like showing your equipment is good too, obviously, but showing the people it goes so much further. People connect with other people. So that was one thing that we really wanted to make sure we brought out was those human things.
Personality and
personality. Yeah. That's the family.
That's the family right there, isn't it? Like I'll tell you, what you did here is just so awesome. And down here, again, if you're a manufacturer out there and, you're like, we're a little light on our website, or, I feel like it could be better, look at some of the things that Emily did here. So, social buttons down here, we've got like the accreditation, ISO certified, the association that they belong to, the NTMA, ITAR. So, just all sorts of helpful information to try to build and establish that trust as quickly as possible. And again, guys, if you get a chance, check out petersheattreat.com, and we'll get back on the program. I'll stop sharing my screen there. And
I think you were asking too about how the MEP was involved with that.
Yeah, please do. Let's go there.
Yeah, so they funded part of the project. So I actually sent my invoices to the NTMA. No, not NTMA.
NWIRC.
NWIRC, yeah,
that's right. Right. A lot of different acronyms when you're dealing with the MEP, the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. So again, we're here at Alaska MEP, but you did a great job. This is one of the there's multiple Pennsylvania MEPs. And it's a long acronym, NWIRC. But you connected with those folks, and then they came in and helped Peters bring this new website to life. But again, they couldn't do it without you. So kudos to you for doing such a great job. And like, this is just one little example of the work that she does. So Emily, Sammy Joe, we can get back in the program. I love that example. I just wanted to share that here today.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. It was so great being able to see your work and see it live. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Kurt. Mm-hmm. So the next question we want to dive into is, why is branding more important than sales work when you're building a legacy that will last?
So sales is always going to be important, but having the brand component, kind of starting with the brand, is only going to help your sales team, because if you really nail down what your brand stands for, what your messaging is, who that perfect customer is, why you're different, and why that customer should want to work with you, maybe what are the things that that prospect has struggled with in the past, working, sourcing your service, or, what are some of their fears and frustrations in hiring this type of work or sourcing this type of work, anything that you can do to really understand your customer, right? And same goes for job candidates, understanding what the what does the job market look like these days, and where are people at with that? Like, what are they looking for in a job and, in a career? Just really getting that messaging down, that's only going to help your sales team, or salesperson. A lot of times, it's the owner, right, doing the sales, or one VP of sales that's doing all the work. So having that messaging and really understanding who that customer is really important. And obviously having the materials to go with that. So, the website and brochures to send, and business cards, and, if you're going to invest in a trade show, having a nice booth, and, that is actually going to stop people and get them to ask questions and engage with your sales team. And it really just makes the salesperson's life so much easier, and it makes them so much more effective at their job.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I absolutely. No, I love that. And again, being the branding guru, Emily, you and I had a great conversation recently, and you were talking about, like, as service providers, like, we need to practice what we preach. And you really hit me with a ton of bricks. You're like, hey, I'm really trying to, stay in my strike zone, narrow down my services, and really exhaust my superpowers, because I can give the best service possible. You're talking about, like, I'm kind of shutting off maybe some other services that aren't quite in my wheelhouse, or I found I'm better at this. Yeah. How do you, like, with manufacturers, especially job shops, God bless, all the manufacturers out there, sometimes they try to be a little bit of everything to everybody, right? Like, hey, we need to keep the machines running, of course. Yeah. We want to keep folks working on the floor. Talk a little bit about, how do you help practice, like you're practicing what you preach. How do you help those manufacturers that maybe get a little bit, I'm sorry to say all over the board, but get a little, how do you help people narrow in a little bit?
Yeah. You hit the nail right on the head. I mean, these people they're problem solvers, right? Yeah. They want to solve problems. That's what that's what their whole thing is. That's what they're here for. And they probably can solve any problem. They can make any part, because they're, they're inventors and tinkerers, and people who, understand how things work. So it's really hard for them to say no to projects that are maybe not a great fit for them. And I used to be in the same place with my business. When I first started marketing metal 4 years ago, I was, I think initially I had a manufacturing focus, but I wasn't gonna say no to anybody. I'd work for any small business, and I had a crop insurance agent and retreat house in North Carolina, and like a permaculture retreat in Texas, like just all these weird things. And every time you get a new project like that, you're learning an entire new language sometimes. I mean, for marketing, of course, but for manufacturers too, like they have to, if you're used to doing automotive stuff and you take an aerospace project, like I'm one that doesn't require the certification, whatever. I mean, there's a whole, certification process that they have to go through, or like inspection process that's new, or maybe they're trying to do a component that's different from what they normally do. And it just takes a lot of time to figure that stuff out in the beginning, and that eats away at your profitability. And not just because you're spending all that time doing it, but also because you maybe could be spending that time on a project that is more in your wheelhouse and more profitable. And for me, and I know the same is true for a lot of my customers, the thought of narrowing my focus was like antithesis to what I got into this for. Like I love learning about new types of businesses, and hearing people's stories, and like the permaculture place in Texas was really freaking cool, and I loved learning about that. But on the other hand, like now, since I narrowed into only working with job shops 2 years ago, I've become an expert in this space, and I positioned myself as an expert in this space, and with every project, I became more and more of an expert, and everything that I do like this, I just solidify that expertise. So, and the same is true for them. The more practice they have in one specific area, the better they're going to do, and the more they're going to get that type of work.
Yep. Love it. Awesome answer. Sammy, Joe, what do you have next?
No, I love that. I love that you can build the expertise. I know that's something that we've also talked about and struggle with. I mean, you just can't be everything to everyone. So once you really start narrowing it down, you really do build that expertise. So I'm super happy that you shared with us today. So the next question I'm going to hit you with is, how can shops cut out the BS and create space for more meaningful work with greater impact? Sounds like we were kind of touching on that a little bit with finding your niche, but if you want to dive into that just a little bit more, if there's anything you left out.
Yeah, we covered a lot of that, but I've worked with a few shops too on like they're very specialized in what they do, and they're not just gonna take an RFQ off the internet, off their website and quote it. Like that's not their process. It's not how they work. So we stopped doing that. Like they don't have an RFQ page on their website now. Like we don't just work with anyone page and, book a 15-minute call with me to find out if we're a good fit, like I have on my website. Because it's, each request like that comes through, you have to spend the time responding to it. And, and the more of those, crap RFQs that you get, the more you get buried in them. And it's just a time waster. So anytime you can eliminate time wasters like that, that's going to be helpful. So it's not just about attracting the right work, but it's also like dissuading the wrong work, right? Like making sure that Joe Schmo down the street knows that you're not gonna be a good shop for them to to get their tractor fixed or whatever, because a lot of shops end up with that work.
Yeah, I couldn't love that more. And like, time wasters. I know that, Emily, when we did our jam session, I always give a shout out to, those profit killers, time wasters, right? Profit killers and time wasters.
Yes.
And that's, like with your superpower of like bringing that, like the example we just showed. And again, go to Emily's website, go to Marketing Metal and check out. She has all sorts of great examples. Follow her on LinkedIn. Her social is just phenomenal. And I strongly encourage and invite everybody to sign up for her newsletter. I love reading your newsletter, Emily. I forwarded it to you the other day, Sammy Joe. It's funny, it's snarky, and it's all about just diving deep because she knows her ideal buyer. She knows who she's staying in her lane, like she said, and she's speaking clearly and concisely to that client. Sammy Joe, I know we're coming into time. Why don't you take it home for us? Excuse my, do you hear my dog? My dog's like, I have a Rottweiler.
I was just gonna say mine is snoring. Oh, and here now he's barking. So
I have a Rottweiler going crazy. So Sammy Joe, take us home.
Why do so many job shops get stuck on the feast or famine hamster wheel of death? The doc just got excited. They had like so much to say.
So much to say on this topic. They also both have hotspots the size of Texas right now, so I'm trying to keep them from going after those. And that's kind of the there's a couple things. Everything that we were just talking about, right? The saying yes to any work that comes through, but also not having a clear marketing presence. You know, when you don't have a strong brand and an engaging website that pulls people in, if you don't have any sort of social media presence, or an email blast, you don't have to do all of these things either. Like I would tell you, if you are new to marketing, don't do all these things. Like choose one thing to focus on, but have a clear goal of, okay, I'm going to post on LinkedIn twice a week for, give yourself 90 days. I'm going to do 90 days posting twice a week on LinkedIn and, reaching out to 15 connections and just reminding them that you're there. Like just having a very clear goal of what you, things that you can do to bring those leads in and keep them kind of rolling in consistently. Kurt mentioned my email. Like I've gotten quite a few people respond to my email that have just kind of been out there for a while. Like I actually just started my email, like, what has it been, like 2 months, Kurt?
Yeah.
And I'm a marketing person. So like I just got to this. Okay. I built most of my business by just posting on LinkedIn, and networking and connecting with people, having 15-minute intro calls, anything that you can do to be more memorable is going to help. But just reminding people that you're there, however you decide to do that. The more time you spend reminding people who you are and how you can help them, the more frequently you're going to get those leads coming in. SEO used to be the huge thing. Like, how do I get to the top of Google? It's not anymore. It's, it's important, and, that can organically grow. But I wouldn't necessarily tell people to put a bunch of money into SEO, because it's not, in and of itself, it's not going to bring in consistent leads that are, going to be worth your while. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
It does. And I love what you're saying is we're coming into time is, really that consistency, I mean, takeaways today of, stop being a best kept secret, get out there and like really resonate, rock your brand, be yourself, show off your clients, show off your customers, your team, your staff, your equipment, just show your awesomeness. And boy, connect with someone like Emily. If you're like, boy, I'm not sure where to turn, reach out to your local MEP. For our folks in Alaska, certainly connect with Sammy Joe and the amazing, incredible team at the Alaska MEP. But again, line with Emily Wilkins, kind of follow, if you're new on LinkedIn, follow me, follow Sammy Joe, follow Emily, follow all of us on LinkedIn. We would love to connect and engage with you. But boy, just get started. Get started. Emily, last thing as we wind down, any events coming up, speaking events, anything that you want to put on folks' radar that they can find you coming up into next few months?
Yeah, I'm speaking at Fab Tech next week, which I'm super excited about. Definitely not ready for, but hey,
You'll
if
rock
we
it.
wait until we're ready, we'll never actually do it. And there's a Empowering Women in Industry event coming up in October. That's also in Chicago. It's going to be really cool. And I'm going to be flying all over the US in the next couple months, doing on-sites with customers. And Alaska is on my bucket list. So if anybody wants to do a project, let me know, because I would love to fly out there.
She just, hey, you put it out into the universe. And so, the manufacturing gods are going to call you up to Alaska. So Emily, I want to give a huge, warm thank you. My respect, my admiration for you, is off the charts. Love your work. Love our friendship. Sammy Joe, thank you, my friend, for this opportunity to spend quality time with you. Why don't you close us out today?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Kurt. And thank you, Emily. It was such a joy to have you here with us today. I did want to give a shout out. So we do these every other Thursdays at noon, 30 minutes. So catch us in 2 Thursdays from now. And an event that you guys can look forward to is we will be hosting a sales training boot camp in Anchorage, October 10th through 11th. You can find more of our details online and get registered for that soon. So we hope you can take advantage of this sales training that we have coming up in Anchorage. And thank you both so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday.
See you guys.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Emily, thank you so much.